Hello and welcome to the Confusion Wrestling Podcast, the last bastion of independent wrestling. I'm your host, Rob Kammer, and it has been a busy week here in the hot tub filled with pizza rolls. Did a rare, at least rare for me, wrestling double header last weekend. Wow, it's evidently still feeling the effects of it. Still exhausted because we've done so much this past week. Got to check out some great live wrestling action from Zawa Live. They had an event at Taco Throwdown in Rock Falls, Illinois, on the riverfront in next to a band shell. Absolutely amazing place to have professional wrestling, in my humble opinion. And on top of that, got some tacos out of the deal too. So, that was cool. Got to go to a wrestling themed restaurant prior to that. So shout out to Luchador's Ristorante and Grill over in Harmon, Illinois. Masterful burrito, if I do say so myself. Not sponsor yet, anyway. But yeah, Zawa put on a great show. Got to talk to some of, we'll call them old wrestler friends, new wrestler friends. Folks I've had the pleasure of either interviewing in the form of Tori Fox or have just started watching their career in the form of El Pringal. And then Saturday, we checked out SCW Pro, friend of the show, proud sponsor of SCW Pro, the Confusion Wrestling Podcast is. SCW Pro doing a hardcore show at Oktoberfest in Wake Brewing in Rock Island, Illinois. Usually SCW Pro is family-friendly entertainment, and this time around, they brought out the hardcore action. Total change of pace, and as a fan of hardcore wrestling, totally down for it. It was a fun show to be had. Shows at Wake are always so much fun anyway. So I got to try out their new tap of Masa Puppets, which they've brought out before. I'm a fan of that. And yeah, just a great weekend of wrestling overall. And then on top of it, we got this week's guest who... Well, let's be realistic. The interview didn't go exactly as I planned. I know in the court system there's this thing called a hostile witness. I don't know if there's a podcasting equivalent of that, but I found the closest thing possible in the form of Evil Kip Stevens. Obviously, I got what I deserved by having someone who brands himself as evil. It's in his name. So I guess I got what I deserved. So this interview is I mean a lot different than the usual fare you expect from Confusion Wrestling. But either way, I think it's a very interesting interview to be had. Kip, despite his demeanor, is killing it up in the New York area. So it was fun to sit down and just watch the chaos ensue as Kip burns down every podcast he can get his grubby little mitts on, which disappoints me because, well, this better turn out. I'm just not gonna lie, this better just turn out great, because I had to pay an exorbitant fee to get him on the show under the pretense that he would triple my money, but he didn't say anything about this being a money back guarantee or anything. So don't know if you hear me knocking on wood or not, but I'm knocking on wood. So anyway, let's take a pause for the cause. Let's take a break so we can give you the full interview without interruption. So take a break, get yourself a coffee machine, maybe even some energy drinks. Pick your poison, if you will, and we'll be back with Evil Kip Stevens. Hey, folks. The Confusion Wrestling Podcast has become a veritable hub of shopping and treats and all that sort of good stuff. Whether you need a sugar-free alternative to energy drinks in the form of Raise Energy, or maybe even, top-of-the-line ice makers, coffee machines, and other household appliances, all through my links section. All you got to do is wander down to the descriptor of this week's episode, check out the various links, click on them, and go shopping like you normally would. Heck, it's no difference. You just came in and just said Rob sent you. And that way, you can get the things you need, maybe even at a discount, and the podcast gets a kickback as well. So be sure to check out those links. Thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Confusion Wrestling Podcast. As I said at the top of the show, very special guest sitting in the studio today. He is Evil Kip Stevens. Kip, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing better than you. You invited me to the studio. Looks like a dilapidated shed. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, I'm a podcaster. I have no shame. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. I know, unlike a lot of podcasters, though, I know my rank in society, and that's usually somewhere around sewer cleaner.
No. That would be a step up for you.
Ah, that's going to be one of those days, is it? Well, so since we've already started out that well, I'm just going to start off with the line of questioning that I was going to leave it for later, but we're just going to do it now. Most folks that don't consider themselves, upright, moral citizens, usually kind of hide the fact that they're evil. We'll just use the word evil because it's in your name. Like, what, why are you so different that you're just like flat out like, hey, I'm evil. Evil is now part of my name.
Well, that was a terrible question, but I'm going to answer it. You know, when I first started my wrestling career, I would come out with a big smile on my face, dressed up like a nerd, and I was always trying to make people happy. And you know what I noticed? You could be the nicest person in the room, do everything right, and the second you walk out of it, people are stabbing you in the back and talking crap about you. So you know what Evil Kip did? Evil Kip cut out the middle person. You want to say I'm a jerk off? You want to say I'm rude? What? You know what? I'll wear it across my chest. If you're gonna stab me in the back, why don't you do it to my face? Why don't you do it up front? That's what I always say. So Evil Kip proudly displays who he is at all times. I am evil. Kip Stevens.
So yeah, so cutting out the middleman, you're just gonna stab us in the chest instead of stabbing us in the back. That's
Exactly.
actually surprisingly noble for a person that's evil.
No, you see, and that's funny how we talk about labels, oh, Evil Kip, yeah, I put that on my shirt, but really I should be honest, Kip, because everybody else in society is like the biggest, fakest pieces of garbage I've ever met. I'm just being straight up blunt and direct with you people. I am evil. I'm going to do what I want to get ahead, do whatever I want, period. You want to talk crap about me when I left the room? Oh, okay. I don't care. It doesn't bother me anymore. I'm owning everything. I'm owning who I am, unlike you losers.
With that logic in mind, have you ever thought about getting into politics? I feel like the combination of evil and honest would do well for you.
Geez, there's not enough money in it, but me controlling things, I'm trying to do that anyway. I'm trying to do that in my wrestling matches. And I'm sure that's going to be a springboard to controlling Hollywood. And then it's going to be a springboard to controlling, Congress. It's steps.
I can't disagree. There's precedent for that in the form of Jesse Ventura, The Rock, John Cena's doing it.
Yeah, but who did they ever beat? Who did they ever beat?
The Rock's career wasn't terribly long, so I guess he beat CM Punk. If people still care about that, does that count?
I don't. No,
Okay,
I don't care.
that's fair.
I get that opportunity. I'm doing the same thing.
Though Dara mentioned like you've had a couple of matches in the WWE that didn't go your way though.
Oh, you don't understand wrestling. The ref was in on the take. He counted quickly. I wasn't prepared. He didn't ask me, "Are you ready?" He didn't. What kind of referee does that? So again, they got a couple lucky shots. I went on points. If you look up the European point system, so I consider those victories. Clearly, you don't understand wrestling, so you wouldn't understand. And I'm not going to take time to explain it either.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not good with the old catch round system. It's almost before my time and a whole ocean away and whatnot. So
Yeah, you should take a deep, deep, deep swim in the ocean.
I'm a terrible swimmer though. No, that was the point.
Exactly.
You got me on that one.
I got some fresh ankle weights for you too.
You'll have to get in line behind the wife for that one. Like she's waiting for that.
Well, she would be floating on the ocean, since she's inflatable.
Oh, she won't appreciate. She won't appreciate that. That one.
She can look down at. She can look down at you sinking.
I mean, she totally is going to do that because she wants the insurance money. I'm worth more dead than I am alive. I'm not going to
Can
lie.
plastic accept insurance? I mean, I think they'll just, deflate, put it back in the package, and then give it to somebody else.
I mean, we pay in plastic. Why can't plastic be played? And now I'm so too many p words right there, and I've lost everything.
Yeah, terrible podcaster. There's
Yeah,
another P word.
well, but all right, we will redirect things back to wrestling and not how well I sink or swim or the materials my wife may or may not be made of. What got you into professional wrestling, which is how I usually start everything, but we had to go with the evil route first.
Well, again, it's every evil origin story starts the same way. I was young. I saw wrestling, immediately fell in love with it, became a fan. Then eventually, as I got older, discovered what independent wrestling was, and it was the first time I saw wrestling, and it wasn't somebody like The Undertaker or Triple H or Hulk Hogan or The Ultimate Warrior. Like those people were, superheroes, larger than life. But going to independent wrestling, I started seeing people around my size, and I was like, wow, maybe I can't be The Undertaker, but I could be this guy. And I fell in love with independent wrestling. Then eventually I found out that there was a school on Long Island called NYWC. I met their champion, Dickie Rods, and we were talking, and he was like, oh, you should come to one of our shows. And for the first time I ever said this out loud, I said, well, if you had a school, it'd be cool to become a wrestler. And instead of him laughing at me, he said, oh, yeah, if you really want to do it, go for it. And I didn't even think that was possible. I didn't think that I'd be given a chance or an opportunity, or quite frankly, that it was that easy. So then I went to one of their training sessions, saw what they were doing, knew I was going to be in over my head, but I just didn't give a crap. I walked in and, almost 20 years later, here I am. And again, where the evil origin story starts is, you sign up for a wrestling school, you think, oh, wow, I'm going to be around people with the same interest and everyone's going to be encouraging. And it wasn't the case at all. They were all beating the crap out of me, trying to get me to quit. And they didn't believe in me. But what's great? I got to shove it up all their asses. Look at how far I've come. A lot of them, they're still in that stupid little sweatbox. I actually, not only did I leave there and went to create a pro wrestling as well, but from there, I've been given opportunities pretty much with every major wrestling company. I've gotten a paycheck from AEW. I've gotten money from Impact Wrestling, or excuse me, TNA Wrestling is called now. I've gotten paychecks from WWE, countless of independent promotions. I think that it toughened me up, made me who I am, and made me realize not everyone's looking out for your best interest, and it's up to you to make your own opportunities and do it by any way possible.
That's actually surprisingly similar to Hulk Hogan's famous training, where he went to one session and they broke his leg allegedly on purpose just to see if he had it in him to come back and do this. And well, we don't need to talk about Hulk Hogan. Everybody knows about his story.
He's dead now. He's dead and he's irrelevant. Evil Kip is alive and well and extremely relevant.
Hogan's in the past. Kip Stevens is the present and future of professional wrestling. Heard it here. Mm-hmm. Probably not first. You've been shouting it out for 15 years now or so. So
I've been shouting it out whenever anybody walks by me. I just tell them, like, Evil Kip Stevens, the present and future of professional wrestling.
That's how he introduced himself to me, ladies and gentlemen, too, when we got into the studio.
I got a knock on the door. Hey, it's landscaping. Hey, great. Evil Kip Stevens, present and future professional wrestling. Now cut my lawn.
Did you have to show the groundskeepers the ropes since you're already kind of letting them know who you are and how you're running things?
No. What I do is let them do the job, and then I say, you did terrible. I refuse to pay for this, and then they walk away.
I'm going to take note of that one. That one's a great idea. Actually, my lawn needs done. So
that's how you obtain wealth. Don't spend it.
There we go. Financial advice too. For being as terrible as this podcast is, we're getting all sorts of free advice in here now. We just gotta
Evil Kip has to educate anybody who's listening, including yourself, Rob. I mean, seriously. I'm in this crappy shed. There's leaks everywhere. I could probably smell fecal matter coming from your pants. I have to educate you. I have to educate everybody listening. This is free advice. I mean, you're paying me, but for everybody listening, they're getting this for free.
That, taking the bullet for everyone in that one. But you talk about educating people. That's kind of been one of your things on Instagram is our sessions with Kip. Like, how did that come about? Like, where did you become so magnanimous to share this information with everyone?
Yeah, I refer to them as seminars. That shows you how terrible of a host you are. You can't even
No
get the word
research.
right. Ugh, I mean, geez, I don't even know if you can read. But yeah, I I see people, other wrestlers, and they're all lazy sacks of garbage. When they're sitting in their car and they have their cell phone out, hey, give me a break. I don't want to waste time in my life. And anybody who watches that video wasted a minute of their life. It's embarrassing. Anybody who does a car promo, if you're in wrestling, you're an embarrassment. Anybody can do that. I see people eating their Taco Bell in the front seat of their car filming it. But you want to call yourself a professional? Give me a break. I'm always doing it at the Creative Pro Training Academy, always in front of the wrestling ring. Why? Because that's where I like to spend my time. I like to spend my time in the ring. And then from there, wrestling promo. How antiquated. I don't want to promote. I don't want to promote anything. What I want to do is educate. That's why what I put out are seminars that focus on one word and how it applies to what I'm going to do in that upcoming match. So if you take notes, you'll probably be a little bit smarter. Not as smart as me. You'll still be an embarrassment to society, but at least you're making an attempt to try and better yourself.
Dropping more knowledge on everyone on that. Where there's professional advice in addition to the financial advice as well. And like, I do want to note that that is very sound advice, especially you discussing kind of being different from everyone else. I mean, it helps that you are, but that's something I feel that's at certain points is lacking in wrestling today. A lot of people just kind of do a lot of cookie cutter stuff, whether it's move sets or car promos, or or dare say kind of like how they present themselves to the public, almost as if they were a character in such a way. So I think this is sound advice.
Yeah, Evil Kip's an authentic article. Eric Bischoff said it best when he was starting Nitro. When he says this about business in general, you could either be greater than, less than, or different than. And again, when it's art, it's very hard to do that. So, is my production value and my editing techniques and everything, is it going to be greater than WWE's? Absolutely not. But then when I look around the independent landscape, I don't want to be less than the person who's in their car being a lazy sack of garbage. They don't go to training, but they'll take time to, just sit in their car, do a video while they're on the way to get to McDonald's. Great. I always want it to be just a little bit different then. And like I said, they cut promos, I cut seminars. They, take the easy way out. Evil Kip educates. Evil Kip, just by doing something a little bit differently, you can either like it or hate it. I don't give a crap one way or the other. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. It's my life. Evil Kip's behind the wheel of this car, and he's going to drive it wherever he wants.
And obviously, it's brought you great success in the wrestling industry, as you've already noted that you've gotten paychecks from all the major promotions. You've picked up titles everywhere you've gone. I do want to touch on one title just kind of briefly because it is for a good cause, but the Dropkick Depression Championship. You were been their champion for years at this point. How did that come about, and like what does that kind of mean for you, since it's more of a charitable organization than it is just a regular wrestling promotion?
Well, it came about because there was a match that I was in and I won. That was an easy question. I mean, what's next? How are babies made? For Christ's sake. As far as it being a nonprofit wrestling organization, yeah, clearly having me on will bring in more money that will go to a good cause. So I'm just a tool. I understand the value, but here's the thing: like, they might do good things, but Evil Kip is going to spread his message to a larger platform. So then I can walk into a boys and girls club and then tell them, what they're doing wrong and how Evil Kip would benefit if Evil Kip was there. It's just like I said, one hand washes the other, and quite frankly, it's all about world domination. And Dropkick Depression taking their title, being their champion, that's step one right there. But I'm glad that you mentioned that, Dropkick Depression, because I do want to actually say something quote unquote nice, and that's for Jeff Cannonball. He is and his wife are the owners of that promotion. And what I would like to say, being the Dropkick Depression champion, is that any show that is running a Jeff Cannonball benefit, I encourage you all to go out and support. Because as the face of Dropkick Depression, as the grand champion of Dropkick Depression, as the best wrestler there, look at me promoting good in the world. So even if it's not Dropkick Depression branded, if it's a Jeff Cannonball benefit, I strongly encourage everyone to check out those wrestling promotions.
Yes. A quick side note. Just if you see anything for Jeff Cannonball, go give your hard-earned money to it, because the gentleman has got a family and he's battling ALS right now. We all know the horrors ALS brings upon the people who suffer from it and those around it. So I don't want to get too maudlin on here, but definitely got to put over that and take care of our wrestling brethren in any way, shape we can.
And let the record show that in every match I faced Jeff Cannonball, I'm pretty positive I beat him. So that's another thing we should bring up about Jeff Cannonball.
I don't have the record books with me, so I'm just going to take that for face value and
take my word for it. Sounds good to me.
Good enough, undefeated against Jeff Cannonball. Though I will say, I'm not sure I've ever seen Jeff Cannonball win a match when he's been on my television screen. So I'm just going to throw that out there as well. So downer at my end. Now I'm being a jerk, I guess. It's not a jerk if I'm just stating the facts, right? That's how that works.
Yeah, way to bring down the mood.
I'm a regular Debbie Downer, if you haven't figured that one out already.
Your name is Rob, not Debbie.
You don't know what's on my birth certificate.
Jeez, I don't want to go anywhere near that. I mean, if you want to pull out that rock that they had a chisel on, go ahead, but I have no desire to look at it.
That's not an arm's reach, so I'm too lazy to get it out too. I'm going to go cut my car promo, eat my Taco Bell next after we're done.
Yeah, you're a slob, so you were going to do that either way.
Yeah, but now I have a reason to, so it makes it a little bit better.
Yeah, drive fast, take lots of chances.
Oh, then I'll drive like the Iowans. I can't do that. That's right. I could be bad too. Mostly against Iowans. I hate those fees. Anyway, I'm digressing. But yes, championships wherever you go. You did mention that kind of being able to promote it. I'll note that that's a very RVD, Rob Van Dam way of looking at things. You're worth more money for them, but you're raising your stock with every successful title defense you do, whether it's for Dropkick Depression or in other places you've won championships, whether it's in New York Wrestling Connection or Create a Pro, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and pretty soon every other place I wrestle for, I'll be winning their belts, or at least, just making sure I get the biggest paycheck at the end of the day, which is a win no matter what.
Can't disagree on that one. I mean, if you're not making money, are you really even in this business? Are you a success? Because name someone who's a success that didn't make a lot of money, at least initially. I don't think we can.
No, and again, that was something I've learned along the way as well. People looked at me as an underdog and things like that, but when I started standing on my wallet, I was taller than everybody else, and that's the real mark of a professional.
Exactly. But we talked about kind of cashing those paychecks and where you've been. Do you have any plans for the near future, places that you haven't conquered yet that you want to?
Well, that's a good question. I will give you an exclusive. One promotion that it looks like I'll be debuting for in the near future is T2T out in Brooklyn, New York. I don't have all the details yet, but there has been some negotiations. And again, it's trying to get as many zeros as possible from them, and I will make sure I extract as many zeros as possible. I mean, right now, in my opinion, which is the correct opinion, Evil Kip is the MVP of VPW. So I think there'll be a championship there in the future. It's only a matter of time. I'll be debuting at Constant Pro Wrestling on October 18th. That's in Avenel, New Jersey. I don't even know if they have a title. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to win my match. Then I'm going to take apart some of the ring, take the post, chisel it down with a hammer, and then make a belt for myself and call myself the champion. But if they do have a champion, then whatever. I'm just going to beat them and walk out with this title anyway.
That's fair enough. I mean, we've already seen precedents of people just like wandering in randomly and getting title opportunities and or winning said championships in their first match. So obviously a man of your stature should be first in line regardless.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing like going to the front of the line. Like, what's the point of waiting?
Nothing good comes from waiting, I'll tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to these debuts, and we've referenced again, and like defending the title, do you have any specific title defenses or just matches in general that you particularly enjoyed, or any opponents that you most enjoyed humiliating in the ring?
That's a good question, surprisingly. I'm somebody that doesn't like to look back. I like to look forward. Uh, and another thing is I'll mention matches and opponents, and then I'll think of another match and opponent that I enjoyed, and I feel like people get left out, and they're like, "Oh, Evil Kip is such a jerk. He left me out." And I'm like, "I'm sorry. It's not my job to just drop your name. I'm glad you want the crumbs from Evil Kip, but it's not my job to provide." But looking back, I've been lucky enough when I won my first championship. It was in a tournament, and in the tournament finals, it was Tony Nese and Alex Reynolds. And I bested them, and they are both AEW contracted wrestlers. I had a title defense against Mike Mondo, formerly the Spirit Squad, and now in NWA Wrestling. That was something that, was a real solid match, and something that still gets brought up a lot, which is a huge compliment considering all the matches he's had. Of course, I beat him. Winning the Dropkick Depression title against Razorwing, he's somebody that I feel doesn't get enough credit. He's a great wrestler. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I beat him, so I'm greater than him. So, I mean, just imagine how good he has to be that I almost broke a sweat with him. There's a lot of wrestlers out there that I think are underappreciated, and it's very easy to name the ones that have been featured on AEW TV or Impact or TNA or WWE, but you go to any independent wrestling show, there's going to be a few standouts there, and if you know while I'm on the show, then you know it's going to be a good place, because to have Evil Kip on your show, that means at least you're investing in your product.
Again, we're going to put over independent wrestling, lifeblood of professional wrestling. Almost anyone that's been anyone has crawled, fought, scrapped throughout the independence over the course of their year. Very few people get to just start at the very top, because as we listen to Kip's story, he didn't even get to start there. He had to prove why he's better than everyone else, and continues to do so to this day. But I
had to grab wrestling by the balls is what I had to do.
I mean, whatever works. That's how Richard Holliday's getting popularity now with his evidently he's the most marketable man in professional wrestling, allegedly. His words, not mine.
Richard Christmas?
Yeah, pretty much.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, he's got a signature move, and he's trying to go viral with his signature move. That's his thing now.
So he has a virus? Why is what commission's allowing him to wrestle?
It's wrestling. You know, if you have a pulse, it's good enough.
Doesn't sound like he's gonna have a pulse for long if he has a virus.
It's as long as he stays, I guess, 6 feet away and has the mask on, it's good enough for most commissions. But
yeah, well, for me, it's gonna be 10.
I mean, that should be it anyway. Like, how dare anyone get their scrubby little mitts on you?
Exactly.
But I guess that wouldn't make a very good match, though. But
no, it works fine for me. It's just like, hey, you're filthy. What you should do is just get counted out, just know that you were going to get beat up by Evil Kip anyway. And go to the back, collect your, loser's purse, and then walk away from me. Never talk to me again. We all, well, Evil Kip wins the most, but in the end, you also win because you weren't humiliated by Evil Kip.
Have you won a match that way? You just said just leave now and they got counted out, or most people have to find out the hard way?
Some people, well, they want to test their might, and then okay, and then they get hurt. It's not Evil Kip's fault. The option is always there. Live to fight another day against a lesser wrestler. That's my advice to all of my opponents. That should be your strategy.
But not paid by the hour either. So just get in, get out, do what you can as quick as you can.
Exactly. I mean, God, all these, quote unquote professionals. Oh, I went 60 minutes in that ring. Yeah, great. And I was asleep for about 49 minutes of it. I'm not impressed by that. Goldberg was one of the biggest stars in wrestling, and his matches were only a minute. Yeah, because that's all he needed. So, sounds like the smartest man in wrestling to me.
Can't argue, especially when we look back at like some of the greats. You mentioned like, oh, I went 60 minutes. Ric Flair was famous of just traveling the country, going 60 minutes. Like, is he that great if he just went out to Des Moines, Iowa, and went 60 minutes with whomever they thought was on top in Des Moines, Iowa?
Yeah, let's give a round of applause for Ric Flair. He looks like the Crypt Keeper right now, and it sounds like those decisions really paid off.
I know it's probably just a moral victory that he's even alive at this point, considering some of the stories we hear about him. But I think the Crypt Keeper might be generous.
A moral for an immoral person. Okay, that makes sense.
We all know this podcast is all about making sense. No one has ever listened to another interview on here.
Yeah, certainly not making dollars.
Well, I'm a podcaster. I'm not making dollars unless I'm Chris Van Vliet. Like again, I'm mostly aware of my social cast right about here. I even got a neck beard for anyone not anyone who's not privy to this video, which is everyone.
Yeah, and again, I just want to say that you should probably run a comb through that occasionally, because right now I see a little mealworm sticking out of it. So it looks like they're enjoying the Taco Bell that you left in there from a previous night out.
Oh, that's dinner later though, because I can't afford real Taco Bell. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing.
So we talked about the past. Talked about kind of referenced the present. Still embarrassing folks. Do you have any sort of like wish list of opponents that you want to embarrass in the future, whether it's the near future or if you even dare I say have like a 5-year plan of world domination?
There's no one on Evil Kip's quote unquote list specifically. And for multiple reasons. A lot of people are chickens. B, a lot of promoters are, afraid to bring in a talent like Evil Kip because I have demands. So it's like, oh man, we're going to bring in the evil guy. Well, I mean, again, you don't want to invest in your promotion. I don't know what to tell you. And a part of wrestling that is, you can make a plan, but if it doesn't come through, then people get disappointed. For Evil Kip, a disappointment doesn't exist. I like to just enjoy the ride and take things as they come. I've noticed in my career, I was told some things, oh, this is what we're going to do with Evil Kip. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. And then, then I'm like, okay, well, then do it. The most enjoyment I've had has come from the things that were unexpected and the things that you can't prepare for and the things that really test your might and your drive and your desire. So I kind of take things one day at a time, find out who I'm going to face, and then beat them up, make the most of it. That's what Evil Kip does. If you want to make a plan, if you want to rip off Cody Rhodes and write out a list and then tweet about it and say, this is my life. Yeah, great. Good luck with that. What Evil Kip will do is be a professional and just beat up anybody in the ring with Evil Kip.
You bring up kind of enjoying the ride, and I have talked to a handful of talent over the course of the years who've traveled everywhere through their through their experience in professional wrestling. Uh, since you're kind of a road warrior yourself, do you have any special, like, any places in particular that you enjoy driving to, driving through, taking the time to just sit back and relax for a moment? Since you have the opportunity to travel more than the average person.
Well, Evil Kip prefers to travel alone. I don't need anybody stealing my oxygen when I'm in my car. When Evil Kip goes through New Jersey, Wawa is always one of those essential stops. And the reason why I'm bringing up Wawa is because I have no problem saying Wawa is better than Sheets. So everyone who's on Team Sheets can hear this and get pissed off at me, but whatever, I could care less about you. You have to find your own enjoyment when you're doing long road trips. And Evil Kip is a known coffee appreciator and a known coffee lover. And for Evil Kip, the most important thing is after a show, especially if you're going to have a long drive, is finding where you can get your coffee at night. And that's, I guess, my Evil Kip creature comfort. And Lord knows after a show, I'll make sure in my car I have my coffee and some sunflower seeds, and that'll keep me from driving off the road. And there's something to be said about, driving a little bit in silence or, having a podcast on, drinking your coffee, and just thinking about all the evil things you did that day and thinking about how much money is in your pocket and thinking about how bad you beat somebody up and how embarrassed they must be. I mean, those are warm, comforting thoughts when you're on the road late at night.
I can't. Well, not that I should disagree with it, because obviously you're right, but I have to admire, and I totally sympathize with the just kind of chillaxing alone. At various points in my career, I've been a road warrior myself. Nowhere, obviously, as much as you, but just being able to sit in relative silence with just enough background noise to just keep you quasi alert is kind of a magical thing. But you talked about being kind of a caffeine fiend. One of the things a handful of professional wrestlers have done recently, whether it's been
Cocaine?
I'm not sure. They don't mark the cocaine as much anymore. So I mean, did that ever go away though? I guess.
Back in the day, it was pretty much in a community bowl, and it was like, hey, whoever needs. Well, the indies don't have the money like they used to.
That's fair. The coke market kind of.
Shady promoters out there don't want to give the boys their bump.
I was, but you brought up coffee. Um, that's kind of an in thing with a handful of wrestlers now, is to have their own signature blend of coffee, whether it's Claudio Castagnoli, Prince Nana. I think Steve Corino has his own, and then there's been a handful of folk that come through a company, and I think it's Detroit or Flint, Rootless Coffee, who have signature blends. Would this be something that Evil Kip Stevens would be interested in marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, tag Rootless Coffee right now and tell them to you want the Evil Kip blend of coffee, and then Rootless can get a hold of me. We can have a talk. They can give me some money. I can give them, after said money, I'll tell them how to run their operation, and then we'll collaborate. They'll make lots of money. I'll get lots of coffee. I'll make even more money. It'll one hand washes the other, washes the other. And that's the thing, even though I'm evil, I'm also a capitalist. And you can always say, oh, capitalism is evil. Well, guess what then? I'm evil and I'm a capitalist. Give me the money and you'll make money. That's how it works. So yeah, tag Rootless. Tell them that you need to have a conversation with Evil Kip Stevens to have the best coffee in the world. The best blend, if you want to call it that.
I'll try that, because I used to like almost be tight with them, and I was going to be part of their marketing for one of their blends, and then some guy that no one's ever heard of named Danhausen showed up on AEW television and threw a wrench in all of their proposed media deal that I was going to deal with them. So
I
rescue
wrestled him
Dan.
once.
Chris Danhausen. That's all I got to say out of
Yeah,
that.
terrible human being. Oh, very nice, very evil. Yeah, up yours. When he was standing across the ring, I was so glad I got to flip him off. Oh, I'm gonna curse you. Yeah, let me just tell you, you can't curse. You can't curse something that's even more evil than you.
And
He was so scared of me, his face went white.
I mean, you were probably doing the evil thing before he was, so he's just riding your coattails even more than everyone else is, as far as I'm concerned.
He's like, there was this movie years ago called Monster Squad. I think he watched that. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to be a monster. I'm so scary. I'm the kid underneath the bed." Whatever, dude. Just pathetic.
I think he's back on the Indies now. Are you going to have another shot at him to put him in his place?
If he wants to fight me, yeah, sure.
That was a silly question because you'll fight anyone, especially if the price is right. So what was I thinking on that?
Exactly. I mean, again, hopefully, the kid can hit a tanning bed, look like a professional, but I'm all for it. I'd like to see Mr. Housen in the ring, and then I'll smack him and he'll be out of the ring. It'll be super easy. Super easy, super evil.
Oh, don't give him ideas because then he'll make even more human monies, and they'll have to back up more Blimphausens for all the cash that he's going to market with another T-shirt and/or catchphrase.
Again, if he wants to make money, he put me on a shirt. Of course, I'd be beating him, so maybe he doesn't want to look bad, but whatever. At least I'd be on the shirt, and boom, new bestseller for him.
Actually, the way you're talking, it almost sounds like you guys should team up since you're both very evil and very capitalist.
Evil Kip doesn't like teams.
Not anymore, anyway. I vaguely remember some guy named CPA hanging around you for a bit.
Ugh. Speaking of low rent and things that are crawling out of a beard. Yeah. But again, I no longer team with him. You seem to remember that means you had to go in the past. And look at us. What did Evil Kip say earlier in this dreadful conversation? Evil Kip doesn't look in the past. Evil Kip looks forward to the future. But you like to live in the past. How pathetic. How pathetic.
Well, I'm a podcaster. I'm pathetic and like to ask people about back in the day. And then if I get lucky, I can ask someone about back in my day, too.
Why don't you reminisce about the first time you got a pubic hair? I mean, seriously, if you want to remember things. Well, the day I became a man. Well, you're still not a man, but you're trying.
That's why I have the beard to compensate for.
I think it's migrating from down there to up there, and that's where it's getting on your neck.
That's fair enough. But all right. So speaking of the future and focusing on the future, we'll go ahead and wind these things down to be respectful of your time. Where can we find you?
You've already disrespected me multiple times.
Well, then I'll respect you by ending the interview here in the next couple of minutes. There we go. But where can we find you?
Cash for this.
Where can we find you in the next handful of weeks, or however long you can remember your bookings for? And then following that up, where can we find you on social media so we can find your seminars?
Great questions, finally. So, where you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Blue Sky and Threads is at I am Evil Kip. I am terrible at social media, and by that I mean if you're expecting things from me every day, you're not going to get it. I control it. Oh, you should brand yourself. You should market yourself. No. Like, I own my own mental space. I'm not your little monkey that's going to do tricks for you. Whenever I deem it right to post something, that's what I will do. But enjoy whatever content comes there. My seminars are on there. You can educate yourself. Upcoming dates. On October 4th, I will be at Creative Pro. On October 11th, I will be at Victory Pro Wrestling. On October 18th, I will be at Constant Pro Wrestling. On November 1st, I'll be at Creative Pro. In the future, I will be at T2T Wrestling once that gets ironed out. I have been known to wrestle for ISPW frequently, so I assume in the near future, because they want to make money, they will bring me back. I've also wrestled recently for New Age Pro Wrestling. I know that they have been in the process of relocating from Massachusetts to New Jersey, and I look to get back on their shows in the near future. And again, you never know where I might pop up. I was recently on TNA Wrestling at Slammiversary. Why? Because they knew, hey, Evil Kip, we should have him in front of a camera. Will that happen again? I don't know. But again, that's the best thing about being an independent pro wrestler. Sometimes you just hop in the car, show up at a show, they give you some money, and then you beat someone up unexpectedly. It's a beautiful world I live in.
It's the beauty of independent wrestling. So, one sound, thank you, Kip, for coming on the show. Of course, the pleasure was all mine. And it was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're not welcome. Out of all the podcasts I've done, this was certainly the most recent.
The Confusion Wrestling Podcast is a weekly podcast that is written and performed by Rob Kammer and hosted by Spotify for podcasters. The background music for this section is Ruined by Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to help support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is helpful as well, because word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for us small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the description, but Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky are at The Nova of Cass. That's TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, please check out my virtual tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that's CASSONOVA, where for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, Chris Zach, and Elenia, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Also, be sure to check out the affiliate links in the description below. For business inquiries such as ads, sponsorships, and etc., please email rzkamer, Kamer, at comcast.net. Thank you all for listening.